Hi, everybody. This is SAAD. In my forthcoming book, I discuss the idea that many people have, this repulsion to not be judgmental. Who am I to judge, and so on. And I talk about how that's a form of moral cowardice because in many cases it is perfectly appropriate to judge. Now, back in 2014, I had written an article on my Psychology Today blog wherein I exactly addressed this. So what I thought I would do today is read for you that article. And as I said, I will be picking up this theme again in my forthcoming book. I've already written the section in question. But what triggered my addressing it today is an article that I saw on CNN where Terrence Howard, a accomplished actor, wrote the following on his Instagram account. "All your little homies got you. We love the hell out of you," in reference to Jussie Smollett. And then a fan apparently was upset by it. So in one of the comments under the video, a fan criticized him for supporting Smollett, and Howard fired back with a lengthy message defending his decision. Quote, "Sorry you feel that way, but that's the only Jussie I know," he posted. "The Jussie I know could never even conceive of something so unconscious and ugly. His innocence or judgment is not for any of us to decide." Really? "Stay in your lane, and my lane is empathy and love and compassion for someone I've called my son for 5 years. It's God's job to judge, and it's ours to love and hope, especially for those that we claim to have loved." Well, I may not be God, but I'm God, and I'm here to judge. So get ready, Terrence Howard. So let me read for you my article. Now, my article is written in 2014, so some of the things, I'm going to read it verbatim. I might skip some of the references to other articles and so on. Some of the content will be outdated because it was written 4 or 5 years ago, but as I said, I'll read it verbatim. So here we go. "Judging those who never judge. To pass judgment is to be human." And this is an article that I posted on my column, on Psychology Today column on August 20th, 2014. So here we go. "Many people are profoundly reticent to share an opinion, take a stance, or commit the moral faux pas of casting a judgment. Heaven forbid. Typical cliches include, 'I don't mean to judge, who am I to judge, and I'm not one to judge.' The refusal to judge and the ability to equivocate ad nauseum is considered admirable, as it demonstrates that you are a, quote, tolerant and, quote, progressive person open to all points of view. To judge is conflated with dogmatism and narrow-mindedness. I contend that the ethos of perpetual non-judgment is intellectually dishonest, if not outright cowardly. Casting judgments is an integral feature of what makes us human. World history is shaped both positively and negatively by people who judge. Great leaders are not proverbial fence-sitters. They judge, they opine, they challenge. They fight for their vision. Think of the most interesting person that you know. I bet that he or she is opinionated and hence judgmental. Pathologically non-judgmental people are unlikely to be charismatic conversationalists. I recently appeared on the Joe Rogan Experience and the Adam Carolla Show. Both hosts are hugely successful within their respective niches, in part because they do not shy away from passing judgments. Joe and I had close to a 3-hour chat about countless topics, including my scientific work and its detractors, political correctness, and the thought police. One of the elements of our conversation that perhaps resonated so well with the audience is that neither of us is tepid in sharing our strongly held opinions on a wide range of topics. As long as one can offer a compelling rationale to support his or her judgments and is willing to revise said position in light of new incoming information, there is nothing gauche about being judgmental in the positive sense of the term. Where does the current non-judgment zeitgeist that is so prevalent within some Western circles originate? I can think of 3 sources. 1. There are several passages in the New Testament that speak ill of judging others, including the infamous pericope adultere, in which Jesus admonishes the crowd for judging an adulteress who is about to be stoned to death. Quote, "Let he who is without sin cast the first stone," or Matthew 7:15, quote, "Judge not that ye be not judged, for with what judgment ye judge, ye shall be judged, and with what measure ye met, it shall be measured to you again." Close quote. Of course, individuals who subscribe to these non-judgmental edicts ignore the endless other religious teachings that are inherently judgmental by definition. 2. The ethos of cultural and moral relativism, a form of secular religious belief among the intelligentsia, rejects the premise that we can judge the practice of the other, lest this might be construed as a form of cultural imperialism. None other than Justin Trudeau, the current leader of Canada's Liberal Party and prospective Prime Minister of Canada, well, he's no longer prospective, was offended by the use of the word barbaric to describe horrid religious cultural practices such as honor killings and female genital mutilation. This moral and cultural relativism runs deep within the Trudeau family, as his father, Pierre Elliott Trudeau, a former Prime Minister of Canada, was a key architect in having Canada adopt an official multicultural policy. See my earlier Psychology Today articles on moral relativism and multiculturalism, a central feature of which is to extend unlimited acceptance to and unconditional understanding of the practices and beliefs of incoming immigrants. Apparently, it is bigoted, racist, and phobic to criticize otherwise abhorrent religious and cultural practices. 3. Postmodernism is another intellectual movement that rejects any privileged way of knowing. All is relative, except, of course, the one universal truth that all is relative. The irony escapes many postmodernists. This anti-science movement breeds non-judgment, as all views are acceptable, all ways of knowing are valued, and all opinions are to be respected. You can click, by the way, for an earlier Psychology Today article of mine on postmodernism. I'll put the link to this article in the description section so you can actually go through the references, which I guess I am now reading for you. Liberal progressives don't judge, they accept and tolerate. In The Open Society and Its Enemies, the philosopher of science Karl Popper famously stated, quote, "Unlimited tolerance must lead to the disappearance of tolerance. If we extend unlimited tolerance even to those who are intolerant, if we are not prepared to defend a tolerant society against the onslaught of the intolerant, then the tolerant will be destroyed, and tolerance with them." Close quote. Inherent to his brilliant quote is the notion that as thinking beings, we are able to cast judgments as to the difference between tolerant and intolerant ideologies. As I explain in another one of my Psychology Today articles, our ability to discriminate is an evolved perceptual and cognitive trait. To judge is a central feature of our capacity to discriminate between tolerant and intolerant ideologies, moral versus immoral prospective business partners, or trustworthy or untrustworthy prospective spouses. To navigate through the complexities of daily life is to pass judgment on innumerable stimuli, objects, ideas, beliefs, and people. Regrettably, as often happens in a language, a word can carry two meanings, one of which is positive, with the other one being negative. Example, pride has both connotations. In the case of, quote, judgmental, the term is now largely associated with its negative implications, whilst its other more neutral meaning has largely been erased from our collective lexicon. Yes, in some instances, to judge is to err. In other instances, the suspension of judgment is wrong, if not immoral. There, I've judged. So, since Terrence Howard doesn't want to judge because only God judges, well, I judge, for I am God. Jussie Smollett is an execrable cretin for what he did. He sowed division. He could have created endless violence between people. He created mistrust, and he did all this in the spirit of pursuing personal gain. He's a detestable, vile person. Terrence Howard, in his inability to state, hey, I might like the guy, I might have supported him in the past, but I condemn what he did in his inability to do that, and instead, in his desire to hide behind who am I to judge, only God judges, he is also a cretin, a schmuck. To judge is to be human. Cheers.